In this video I will show you how to get player stats from Google Play Game Services in React Native application. So let's get started. Alright, so now Google Play Game Services require you to have a paid Play Console account. So I think the fees is almost around $10 to $12. It might have increased. I purchased it long time back. So you would require that paid developer account, otherwise you won't be able to test this particular functionality. And the second thing is I have created a simple project, React Native project, using this React Native community CLI. You can give your project whatever name you want. I don't want CocoaPods installed, so here you can see I've already ran that particular command and I have created a project. And I don't want CocoaPods because Google Play Game Services is only for Android, it is not for iOS. So so I have just created a simple React Native project. That's the first thing. Next thing is we will have to go to Google Play Console to create a project or an app on Google Play Console as well. At Google Play Console, play.google.com/console, and then you just have to click on create app. And now what I will tell you is that you open Android Studio. We need to open this Android folder which you see inside your React Native application inside Android Studio, because we require the SHA-1 certificate. Now I know we can get the SHA-1 without Android Studio as well, but I would show you one easiest way to get the SHA-1 so that we don't have, because a lot of errors happens because of the SHA-1 key. That's why. So just go where your Flutter app, React Native application is located. So here is my React Native application. Just click on Android and open it. Now this will take a little bit of time for the Gradle syncing. That's why I'm opening it at the very start. Let it do the Gradle syncing. Now again we'll come back to Google Play Console, and here I will just give my app some name, RN app try. You can give whatever name you feel like. Then this should be game only. If you select your as an app, you won't be able to install Google Play Game Services. So yeah, this is very important. This should be selected as game. Here you can select free or paid. I'll just select free. I'll just agree to this. I'll just click on create app. Let's just wait for it to do its thing. Then we just have to go to grow users, go to Play Game Services, setup and management, go to configuration, and here we will just use this create a new Play Game Services project. And firstly we will have to create a new cloud project. So just click on create new cloud project, click on this particular link, go to Google Cloud Console. If you are on the screen, make sure you give it the same name what you have given it on Google Play Console. So I'll give it the same name just to avoid any consequences, RN app try. So make sure it is the same name. I'll just click on create, and it has created the project for us. Let's just wait for this to finish. This should take a little bit of time. So I'll just click on select project. So it has selected the project for me. Then I'll just go to Google Play Console again. I'll click on done over here. Now this might take a little bit of time for your app to reflect over here. So just click on refresh cloud projects, or just wait for a minute or two. This does take a little bit of time. So I'll just click on refresh cloud projects multiple times. Still not present. Okay, I'll just click again. Okay, finally. So I'll just select our app. I'll click use. Okay, then click on create OAuth consent screen. Click on this particular link, Google Cloud Platform. Okay, and on this particular link, make sure your app is selected at the drop down at the top. Then here just select external, click create, and here you can again give the app the same name what you have given it on Google Play Console. So I will just give it RN app try. Here you will have to select your support email ID. I don't want to show you guys that. Make sure you select your support email ID, otherwise you won't be able to proceed ahead. Now here I will enter my email address. @gmail. Sorry, this is not working out. Brave evidence @gmail.com, and I'll just click on save and continue. Then once this is done, just scroll down, click on save and continue again. Then here click add users. Here you will have to add some test users because we haven't published our app to Google Play Store yet. So I will just add this particular user. Now with the same user only I will have to log in. So I'll just click on add. So here you can see it has added my email ID. I'll just click on save and continue again, and I'll just scroll down over here and I can click on back to dashboard. Now yeah, this is done. If you're publishing your app to Google Play Store, you will have to click on publish app as well. Then just click on credentials, create credentials, OAuth client ID. Let's just wait. Here select Android, give your package name. For that you can go to your React Native application, go to Android app, build.gradle file, scroll down over here, and this is your package name. So I'll just copy my package name and I'll paste it over here. Now to get the SHA-1 certificate, like I told you, I have an easy command, so we can just run .gradle signing report. Now if this needs to be run inside Android Studio, I'm not sure whether you can run it directly from a terminal or not. It doesn't really work for me, I don't know why. Maybe the setup is wrong, but there is another command as well like this one, but this always gives me the wrong SHA-1 certificate for debug key. That's why I don't use it. But for release key, I would highly recommend using this key tool command. So once you create a release key store, you just have to replace this with the release key store path. This should be your release alias name, release store password, and release key password. But for now, given that I'm using debug APK, I'll just copy this. I'll go to Android Studio, I'll open my terminal, and I'll just paste this particular command. So this will give me the SHA-1. So let's just wait for a second. Okay, so this is my SHA-1. I'll just copy this. I'll go to console. So here I'll just paste my SHA-1 and I'll click on create. Now it will give me a client ID. This is pretty much useless. I'll click OK. Then again click on create credential, OAuth client ID. Here I will select web application. I'll again click on create. Now this client ID is important, so make sure you copy this client ID, and I will just store it inside my React Native application over here. Okay, so we will be using this. So this has been pasted. Next again we'll go to our Google Play console. I'll click on confirm configuration. Then we have to click on create credentials. Just scroll up, click on this add credential button. First we'll do it for Android. So if you want, you can enable anti-piracy. It's just that I'm testing it locally with just me. I'm not enabling it. And here for select OAuth client, just select your Android client which we have just created. Click save changes. Then again scroll. Now just go back. Then here again we'll click on add credential. Now we have to select game server, and here again scroll down, just click on this refresh OAuth client ID and select this web client ID which we have created, and click on save changes again. Once this is done, I'll just go back. Now we need to publish our project, so I'll just click on review and publish. So here it is telling me that we need to do all the steps, so I'll just click on it, and I'll just copy this display name. I'll paste same as description. Game category, I'll keep it as action, and here I'll just select one app icon which I already have. So this is the app icon. I'll select that. Then we also require a feature graphic, so I'll again copy that, open my local and add an feature graphic image as well, and then I'll just click on save changes. Okay, then I'll again go back to our configuration, and I'll click on review and publish. I'll click on publish. I'll click on publish game project. Okay, so this is done. Now copy this project ID. This is important because we will be using this. So I'll just copy this project ID. I will paste it over here. Now what I'll do is I'll write all the code and then I'll explain it to you what exactly I'm doing. So the next thing is we will have to come to this particular documentation because we have to create a turbo module for our React Native app. So I have already done it, but I'll show you guys the steps what I have done it. So we have already created a React Native project, right? Then we have to create a folder called specs. So if I go to my React Native project, here you can see inside, I'll just close everything. Inside the root of my project, I have created a folder called specs. Inside that we have to create a file called native local storage, but I have named it differently. Native local storage does not make sense in our case, so I have named it as native gameplay service.ts. Then I have just copied everything from this particular code and pasted it over here. Only thing is I have removed all this method names because this method does not make sense in our case. So I have added two methods, login and check login, and both will return string. So actually when we do a login using Google Play Game Services, it returns a user object to us. But what I am doing is that I'm basically converting that entire object to string and sending it back to React Native side. So you will have to decode that particular object on React Native side. You just have to do JSON parse, that's it, nothing else. So login, once the user clicks on the login button, check login if the user is already logged in. So we will be calling this inside use effect, and this particular name I have changed. So don't use native local storage just like the documentation. This name have to be changed depending on what file name you create over here. Once that is done, we'll have to go to package.json. So I'll just close this. Inside package.json, you will have to add this bit of code. Again, it is in the documentation itself. If you scroll down, again everywhere native local storage, I have renamed it with my own file name, native gameplay service spec, and here also native gameplay service. So just do this particular part. Once you do that, you will again have to go to your React Native root of your React Native project. So I'll just go to the root of my React Native project and just do npm install, because we have changed the package.json file. So don't forget this step. Once that is done, we'll have to cd to the Android folder inside our React Native project. So just cd to the Android folder, and then you will just have to run this particular command. Now I have already ran this command, so yeah, you can run it. I won't run it again. Once you run this particular command, it basically does code generation for this particular file which we have created. Next I will show you how to use this inside our app.tsx. We'll check the implementation later on. So all I have done inside my app.tsx, I have just imported our TypeScript file which we created inside the specs folder. Then inside use effect, I am just calling native play service.check login. Now I think I did a mistake because it should have been async await, right? So I'll just write async const user equal to await. Okay, I think I will have to wrap this inside curly brace. So yeah, and I'll just print the user as well, just to show you what all data we get. Okay, so these are all the data, and same thing we'll have to do it over here as well. So I'll just create a separate function because we can't call async await inside use effect. So yeah, something like this. I have just created a separate method and I'm just doing check login. You can wrap this around try catch as well in case if there is some error. Same over here as well. I'll leave that up to you. And here inside UI I have just created one button called login. That's it. Okay. Next, once this is done, this also I have shown you. So here, as you can see, we have done the same thing what the documentation says. Now before I write native code, you will have to go to Android app build.gradle over here and make sure you add this particular dependency, because this dependency is a kind of like an import to include Google Play Game Services inside our Android application. So make sure you add these dependencies. Also another thing is go to this build.gradle, and yeah, Kotlin 1.9. I will just update it to 1.9.25 just to be on the safer side. Once that is done, you will have to then go to Android manifest.xml, and before the application tags end, you will have to add this metadata tag. Now this particular value will come from your project ID which we have just copied. In case if you forgot, go to Google Play Console, Grow Services, Play Game Services, Setup and Management, Configuration, and here is your project ID, so you can just copy this project ID and paste it over here. Once that is done, you will have to go to src main, and after this com folder you will have to create one more folder called native gameplay service, because that was the name of our TypeScript file, right? So you will have to name it the same thing. So that's what I have done over here, and inside that so that's what the documentation also says. So if you come over here, so we have to create this particular folder. So that's what I have done. Then we have to create two files. Again, the name should match your TypeScript file. So native gameplay service package.kt and native gameplay service module.kt. So just create these two files. Again, the documentation says the same thing. So first look at native gameplay service module.kt. So here firstly we will again I have just copied this import, so yeah, you can copy this imports as well. Then we have this native gameplay service which takes React context and extends from native gameplay service spec, and here we just do game sign in client, and inside the init method we initialize our play game SDK as well as initialize this particular variable. Then here is our login method, so we just do game sign in client dot sign in, add complete listener, play games dot get player client, and pass our activity current player dot add complete listener. And here I have made a mistake, this should be my task dot result. Okay, so once the player login is successful, here this particular thing will contain all the player data, which again as an object I'm sending it back to React Native side with the help of promise.resolve. In case if there is error, I'm just doing promise.reject. Same thing over here as well. In case of any error, I'm just doing promise.reject. Similarly for check login as well, we do the same thing. Game sign-in client is authenticated, add complete listener. If the user is authenticated, then just do play games dot get player client, and again here on complete listener we just have to do dot result. If you want to check what all details the player contains, I'll just show you that inside Android Studio. So here we are just sending that back. In case of error, I'm just doing promise.reject. Same thing over here as well, and here this is again important, so this should be your TypeScript file name. So that's what I have done over here. So again, I'll simply scroll through this file. In case if you have missed anything, feel free to pause the video wherever you feel like and just copy paste the code. So this is Kotlin code actually. So yeah, that's it. Now if you want to check, so I'm inside Android Studio, so I'm inside this native game. You don't have to do this, just watch. In case if you are interested in some specific detail of the user, you don't want the entire user object, here you can see dot, and here these are all the values present for a particular user. So yeah, you can select whatever you feel like is correct for you, but I'm sending the entire user object to you, so yeah, do whatever you feel like. Then we have to create this another file called native gameplay service package.kt, and again we just added this package which extends from turbo package. Now this I have just copied it from documentation. If you see over here, just copy this documentation, but we have to change the file name everywhere. Sorry, we have to change this particular file name everywhere. So here it should be native gameplay service, and here everywhere it should be native gameplay service module. So over here as well as over here. So make sure you make all these changes. Yeah, once all these changes are done, the last thing is which I have missed. We will have to import our file and add it something like this. So for this I will just make use of Android Studio. You don't have to do this. I will show you how it look inside VS Code. It's just that I'm more comfortable in doing it inside Android Studio. That's why I'm doing it inside Android. So what it is saying is go to main application and add this particular thing, right? We just have to change the file name. So I'll just add this over. Ignore these errors, these are not really errors. So I'll just have to copy this file name, I'll paste it over here, and I'll add this import as well. Okay, so basically what you will have to do is you will have to go to our whatever is your project name, main application.kt. inside that make sure you add this particular import first, and then you add this particular thing, add native gameplay service package. So we are referencing this particular file which we have created. So I think that should be it. Now let me run the application and show you guys the output on this, because I was already logged in. I have created the same tutorial for Flutter, native Android, and Godot game engine as well. That's why I was already signed in. The use effect got called even before the Metro bundler finished it, so yeah, that's why. And here you can see I'm already signed in, and if you want to see the user details, here you can see these are all the user details. Same thing you can if you obviously, if you are doing this for the very first time, you won't see this automatically logged in, because I was already logged in. So for that you just have to click on the login button, right? So I ignore this. So this was already from the check login method. I'll just click on this login button, and here you can see again I'm able to fetch all the user details. So hopefully you got the point. One thing which I want to tell you, if a user has never used Google Play game service and he tries to click on the login button, Google will automatically display a prompt to the user that set up some username, set up some icon for your avatar, something like that, which I went through, but I can't really replicate that because yeah, that's only a one-time thing. But yeah, that's it for login part. Alright, so once we have successfully integrated login, then what I have done is that again I went to the specs folder inside this TypeScript file, and I have added one more method called getPlayerStats, which returns string. Now this string will be actually a JSON string, so you will have to decode it on the React Native side. So yeah, that's what I have done. Now given that we are manipulating this TypeScript file, we will again have to go to our React Native project. So here I am inside my React Native project, and then again we'll have to cd to the Android folder over here, and then I will we have to run this particular command /gradlew. So I have already ran this command, but you will have to copy paste this command and run it again. I won't run it again. Once this is done, you will have to go to app.tsx, and here I have added just one more button .getPlayerStats. Here you can see, and on click of it we just call this getPlayerStats. Once I have the data, I'm printing it to the console. Then coming back to the actual implementation, so first check whether you have all the same imports or not. I don't remember if I have added any more imports for player stats as well, but yeah, you can just check, cross verify. Then rest of the codes more or less remains the same. We just have to add one more method. So if you see, I have added one more method called getPlayerStats, and here we just do play games dot get player stats client, pass our current activity, load player stats as true, then add an on complete listener as well. And if task is successful, here this is I think called when user does not have any internet connectivity, so the Google Play game services might return stale data. So if you want, you can use this, otherwise remove it completely. But if you want to see the actual data, if the user has proper Google Play proper internet connection, we just get the stats using this particular thing. And if stats is not equal to null, here you can see I'm just printing it to the console. I forgot to send it back to React Native side. So what I will do is, you don't have to do this, so just watch me. I will just use this promise, because I'm not writing it inside VS Code because I will make some typo, and here I will just write $stats, and I'll add this particular thing. So this will help us to send the data back. So if you see over here, again coming back to VS Code, now you can add this particular thing. So here we are sending this back to React Native side, and here I'm just doing status, common status code developer error. In case of any error, you can just do promise.reject as well and send that back to React Native side as well. So yeah, I'm just logging it to the console. So yeah, that's it for this particular thing as well. Now I'll simply scroll through this. Feel free to pause the video wherever you feel like and just copy the code. Now there is one more thing which I want to show you. You might be wondering what all things are present inside the stats. Obviously I will show you the output inside Metro bundler, but if you want, you can open it inside Android Studio, and here you can do status stats dot, and here you can see these are all the things which are present for our stats. So yeah, that's it. Now let me run the my application and show you guys the output. Okay, so here is the output. Now here you can see my Metro bundler opened as well, and this particular logs is for the sign in, so I was automatically signed in. Now again, if I just come back to this, if I'll just click on this get player stats button. I'll just move this a little, sorry. And here you can see my Metro bundle. I'll click on this get player stats, and here you can see all stats of the player are visible. So I'm not using my app regularly, that's why the stats are poor, but hopefully you got the point. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.